Record on this computer. Okay, so we're ready to start looking at our last problem in this assignment, which is the angle lock. So I'm going to go underneath my camera. And this on page 235, the very last problem, number 6, is our angle lock. So in this case, this one's a little bit more involved, not hard, but we're going to have to, create this in a couple different, passes, if you would. So we've got to kind of decide how we want to look at this. Now, there's multiple ways of looking at it. So there's no really one perfect or right way to do it. Usually the goal when we're looking at things is we want to try to minimize the number of features potentially, but it's totally up to you. So how I am going to approach this is I am going to start by looking at my right side view. Okay, so kind of looking in this direction. I'm just going to make a solid rectangle that is going to be 1.5 inches deep. Okay, that's going to be my first feature. Then on that, I'm going to build this triangular part coming out the rest of the way, which is going to be 1.5. The depth of that is going to be 1.5 minus the 5 inches. Okay, so that'll be that leftover amount that I'm going to extrude. So that'll kind of take care of my body, if you would. And then I'm going to add the hole and then the peg coming out the side. Okay, so I think I'm going to have it in about 4 features. Okay, so again, I'm going to come from this side and do a solid rectangle, a depth of 1.5. Then I'm going to do the triangular part the rest of the way. And then I'm going to add my hole and my peg. All right, so I'm going to go over to SolidWorks and I'm going to get set up. So I already closed and I'm going to start a new part. Then I'm going to do my little workup here on my options. So I'm going to click on options, go to document properties. I know my units are set correctly because they're also down here and they're to the 5 decimal places. But I'm going to go to my drafting standard, make sure it's ANSI. But then as we know, for some reason in those dimensions, it doesn't always stick, doesn't stick at all. So I need to change this base dimension standard to ANSI. And then I'm going to go down. I'm not going to use some of these. I'm going to go to down the diameter and I got to do ANSI and linear ANSI and radius ANSI. Then those should be okay. All right. And again, that is not super critical at this point where we are, focusing on modeling. All right. So now that I have a blank screen here, I'm going to do what I said. I'm going to start with an extrude boss base. Now this time, and really, honestly, if you would start on your front view, it doesn't, again, really matter. Where you're going to see the difference is when we would create a drawing, like what the front view would be and what the side view and such. Because to me, I consider this the front view. This is like the right side view. All right. So I'm going to actually go on the right plane. So instead of the front plane this time, I'm going to go on the right plane. Okay. And now again, here's my origin. I'm going to create a rectangle, lower right-hand corner, upper right-hand corner. So it's just a click, click. So it creates it at once. I'm going to hit the accept key over here. And I'm going to pan this down. Smart dimension. The overall width is 4 inches. The overall height is 3.5. There we go. And I should be fully defined. If you don't put this on the origin and you have your dimensions here and you're like, why am I not fully defined? It's because in space, it doesn't know where it is. Okay. So you always have to tie to the origin on this first sketch. So I'm fully defined. Oopsie. And I can do an exit now. And you'll notice that it has that default of 0.1 for the blind extrude. And I want this to be 1.5. Here we go. And I'm going to click here. Okay. All right. So I have my first extrude in here. I'm going to expand it and my sketch looks good. Now on this face is where I'm going to then do the triangle the rest of the way. So I've got to look underneath here. My rectangle extends all the way here. So I'm going to actually kind of come in and my rectangle is going to come down and then over. So I am going to be sketching on this plane right here. So this is going to be another extrude boss face because I'm going to be adding length to this block. I'm going to click here. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a line. I'm going to start in this upper right-hand corner. And the line is starting there and I'm going to go right about to here. And then I'm going to do a triangle down to about here. And then down, over, and back up. And then okay. So I'm going to tip this a little bit so that you can see it. So you know exactly what I did. So here is the outline of my sketch. Okay. So now I'm not fully defined yet. I'm underdefined. I have to add the dimensions in here. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to look at this from the right side view. Okay. And I've got to go back and look at the dimensions. So this flat right here is 0.75 and this flat is 0.75. And that should fully define me. Up here, smart dimension, this 0.75 and this one, 0.75. And then I'm going to accept that dimension. I'm going to zoom out a little bit. So this is my sketch. Again, from the upper right-hand corner, horizontal, angled down, vertical, horizontal, and just kind of follow it right around. And then 0.75 on the top and the bottom. Now I'm going to exit this sketch because I am fully defined. Okay. And I'm going to rotate this a little bit. And you're going to notice now, this is where I want to add the extension. Okay. So I've got to go back to my drawing. The total length is 5 inches. This was 1.5 for the first part where the rectangle was. So then that means that this is going to be 3.5 long. So now that's going to be a blind extrude of 3.5. Enter. And now that looks good. Make sure that merge result is going to be checked so that it becomes one solid piece. And then I'm going to hit OK. There we go. I'm going to do my save right now. So I'm going to do a file, save as. It's going to go to that same directory. This is the angle underscore lock. Okay. And I'm going to expand this out and just make sure I've got a fully defined sketch. All right. I'm going to go back to my part and I'm going to put this hole in first. Okay. So that's going to be an extrude cut, diameter of 0.75, and then it's 0.75 from each corner. So I'm going to go back to SolidWorks. I'm going to go on this face right here because that's where the dimensions are coming from. So I'm going to click on that. Whoopsie. I have to extrude cut first, and then I'm going to click on that. And then now I'm going to draw my circle right about here. Okay. Smart dimension, 0.75. And then from the center to the top, 0.75. From the center to the left, 0.75. There you go. I'm fully defined. I have my diameter and my location from that upper left-hand corner. I can exit the sketch. And here, I'm going to rotate a little bit, make sure it's going in the right direction. And it is. Now, right now it's set to through all and it looks okay. So you can leave it at that. The other option that you could do, and it really becomes the same result, is up to next. that's gonna give you the very same thing. That way, anytime that this changes, so either through all, because in that direction, the all ends on that surface, or you could do up to next. Both would give us the same result. And then I'm gonna hit OK. And I'm gonna do a quick save, file, save. Whew. I'm gonna expand out that extrude cut so I can see that my sketch number 3 is fully defined. And I've got one more feature to add. One more feature to add. And that's gonna be the peg coming out the side here. Okay, now instead of a cut, that one's gonna be an extrude boss face because I'm gonna be adding material as I create it. And it's gonna be off of this surface here. So an extrude boss face on this surface, do my circle, lower right-hand corner. Okay. Smart dimension, 1 inch. And then it's, let me see, 1 inch from the bottom. So from here to, to here, 1 inch. And then from the left side or the right side to the center is going to be 1.25. Here we go. So that looks good. Fully defined. Scooch this one out here. And I'm going to exit the sketch. So rotate it a little bit. It is going in the right direction. If you need to, remember you can flip if you need to. But this is going to be my boss face. And then it is 1.1 inches from that surface. There we go. Okay. And then expand that feature so we can see it. And then if you have it right about like that, so I can see that that hole is going all the way through. And you can hit Control, kind of scooch this over, do one more file, save. And I'm going to do a Windows Shift S. Remember to get your design tree in there, have your features expanded so I can see each sketch, and then get your far enough over so I can see your file name. And then I'm going to go over to Word document and enter, Control V, and there's my next part. And again, make sure your name of your part is in there because that way I can see, you know, each one of these as you're doing them. You don't have to like name them or anything like that. Okay. So there you go. I'm going to do a file save and I'm good. Any questions? Okay.